Our planet is home to many different and unique things, whether it be plants, animals, other organisms, or even non-living things out in nature. Now, thanks to human creativity and intelligence, people are constantly creating new and interesting materials that have never been seen before. While plenty of these products and inventions have revolutionized the way people live and grow, some of mankind's inventions, namely plastics, have begun to pose serious threats to the planet and its well-being. Due to inefficient and ineffective recycling systems in countries across the world, plastics enter the world's oceans each day along with other garbage and wasteful materials. A study from 2014 showed the Pacific Ocean by itself to contain roughly 5.25 trillion particles of plastic, a total weighing about 268,940 tons. That's the equivalent of almost 6,000 Boeing 737 jets, 45,000 Asian elephants, or nearly 180,000 2018 Toyota Priuses. And plastics aren't the only garbage at sea, which brings up the question, what makes them so terrible? Well, to keep it simple, most garbage breaks down after time at sea, or really anywhere. They undergo changes and are both physically and chemically broken down into simpler materials that are safer for the environment. Plastics don't really do that. Most garbage, when exposed to UV radiation from the sun and oxidation due to the seawater, break down to less harmful materials over time. Plastics, by contrast, do a lot of breaking down in shape and size, the physical component, but not so much in terms of breaking down on a chemical level. When plastics undergo the same processes, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. Plastics can be broken down to even microscopic levels and retain their status as plastic. That is where they become a true issue. While larger plastic trash poses a great threat to large marine life and can get caught on, say, a dolphin's face or around a seagull's neck, it is the microscopic levels of plastic that can be truly dangerous to the environment and marine life. Two distinct yet unrelated studies were done in the northern Pacific Ocean. One tracked the ratio between plastics and plankton in the sea, while the other tracked the species of bird with plastic in their stomachs. The study on plankton found an almost 1-to-1 ratio of plankton to plastic during the night, and nearly 10 times the amount of plastic as there was plankton during the day. Likewise, the study on birds found that as far back as 1980, out of the 37 species examined, 15 species had plastic particles in their stomachs. This brings me to my next point, that once plastics reach that tiny size, they have the potential to infect the food chain on a massive scale. If they are the same size as plankton, then filter feeders will accidentally ingest them. If they can then be picked up by organisms, they'll eventually reach infected creatures that can make their way all the way up to stomachs of marine organisms that people consume. While that may seem like a long process to reach mankind, which it might very well be, no organism has been exposed to plastics for a long time to have any defense against it. Their stomachs can't process the materials. Therefore, it will either tear up their insides or stay there if it isn't small enough to pass through. Given enough time, this issue will only expand and become far worse as long as plastics continue to expand in the oceans, and so even now, unless we are able to do something, it'll just get worse. That leads me to an idea. What if we sent out ships to remove these plastic masses? It could work like this. Large ships, capable of both towing and storing cargo, are sent out to surround the islands of garbage. Then, when the mass is clumped together, it can be dissected into sections and buoys be attached to each of these chunks to identify them. Depending on the total mass and their structural integrity, one of two things can be done, or both. Either the sections can be scooped up and stored on those ships to be brought back, or they can be left in the sea and towed back to land. Afterwards, any straggling or loose trash could be picked up and salvaged as well. When taken back to land, these pieces can be reprocessed back into regular plastics that people can use. However, this is where the situation becomes a bit difficult. There are a lot of factors that make this mission unlikely to be made by anyone worried about profits. This voyage would require a large amount of money and time and fuel spent on the ships necessary to complete the task. In addition, not all plastics can be fully recycled, and the plastic at sea is of unknown quantities. No one really knows what can be reused out there, so no company would take such a risk unless they knew the numbers, which would take extra time, fuel, and resources just to do that. Also, this takes place in international waters, which leaves some confusion. Few organizations could probably actually do this in its entirety without encountering any potential legal trouble, which is why the best option might very well be an international organization like the United Nations. They are a global organization that seeks peace and safety, so they should seek the planetary safety benefits in cleaning the ocean. They are also an international group with both the authority and the potential resources to handle such a task. As they would have no focus for the task but the safety of our planet, they should not worry about the costs or profits as much as they should focus on utilizing clean ships so as not to pollute a ton while cleaning the ocean, and they should focus on doing it as quickly as possible to prevent any further harm. This all does not mean that this is all up to some big group to clean the environment. So, still, until the day the UN or some international or environmentally focused group decides this method is worth trying, be more mindful of what you buy. Be careful of, say, plastic bags, containers, or cartons for fluids like a carton of milk. Recycle what is necessary, find cleaner alternatives, and make sure that it gets all recycled and not thrown into landfill, just like the past, and where it could hurt the planet even more. That way, when the harmful materials are finally removed from the ocean, we will never have to worry about plastics returning back into the ocean to hurt marine life more or ever again. Thank you.